現時我將時間呢係交俾保安局局長李局長。
多謝司長。我跟住向大家解釋下呢喺西九龍嘅執法同埋安全問題。我會希望大家呢就想像自己喺香港想用呢條高鐵去坐高鐵係上我哋內地。咁首先呢，喺西九龍呢，我哋會設立兩個口岸區，一個係香港口岸區，一個係內地口岸區。香港嘅口岸區呢，就同我哋而家喺羅湖站或者紅磡站，大家搭火車嘅時候呢嘅管理方式係一樣嘅，即係我哋會係用一個過境限制管理嘅方式。意思即係話呢，只有獲授權人呢先可以使用呢個口岸區。咁當然啦，獲授權嘅人呢，就包括埋旅客嘅。通關同埋所有嘅執法工作咧，喺呢個香港嘅口岸區呢，同我哋而家嘅模式係一樣嘅，全部係由香港嘅執法部門，包括入境處嘅同事海關或者檢疫嘅部門等呢，去處理大家通關嘅事宜。咁至於過咗香港口岸區，你進入內地口岸區嘅情況係點呢？內地口岸區嘅執法同埋法律都會係根據內地嘅法律同埋司法管轄嘅範圍去處理嘅。除咗剛才律政司司長講嘅指定民事同埋商業嘅事項，咁呢啲當然包括簡單嚟講係勞工保險或者服務合約等等嘅。咁喺內地口岸區裏邊嘅內地嘅執法機關，只可以喺返佢內地口岸區去執法嘅，喺內地口岸區以外，佢係冇執法權嘅。而派駐內地口岸區嘅單位呢，我哋喺同內地係大家討論過合作安排嘅時候呢，佢哋係表示呢係有5個機構。第一個呢係由負責出入境邊檢嘅。佢相對香港呢，就等於我哋嘅入境處。第二個係海關，亦都等於香港嘅海關。第三個呢係檢驗同埋檢疫，就等於我哋對食物檢查，又或者係疾病檢查嘅單位一樣。第四個呢係口岸，口岸辦公室佢所做嘅係咩呢？佢第一冇執法權㗎，佢第一個功能呢係要統籌不同單位嘅一啲日常嘅工作，例如邊一個單位佢嘅工作時間係點樣，佢嘅寫字樓應該點樣配備，佢日常嘅一啲設施，例如電腦嘅分配等等。當然啦，佢另外一個呢就係當不同嘅部門呢，大家有一啲嘢希望有人可以作出決定嘅，係大家協調唔到嘅，佢都有個咁嘅角色。另外一個呢，就係治安管理單位，治安管理單位呢，就等於我哋所了解嘅派出所。咁佢哋而家同我哋討論嘅安排就係呢，所有喺我哋而家香港設嘅內地口岸區嘅運作模式呢，就會係仿照喺內地一般嘅口岸區咁樣去設計嘅，佢唔會做多。咁所以呢，呢5個單位呢，亦都係內地口岸一般佢哋做日常通關工作所需要設立嘅。咁喺法律方面啦，當你進入內地口岸區嘅時候呢，就我哋都要遵守內地嘅法律。剛才律政司司長亦都解釋咗法律適用性嘅問題。咁至於喺治安同埋安全方面，我哋嘅設計係點呢？我哋係有多重嘅設施係確保到治安同埋旅客安全嘅。第一呢，係會係實行購票實名制，旅客嘅身份呢係會被確認先可以使用呢個地方。第二呢，我哋對所有旅客嘅行李呢，都好似我哋去機場一樣呢，係會作安全檢查嘅。另外呢，我哋係會因為係實施過境限制區管理啦，所以只係旅客、公務人員以及受批准嘅人員呢，先可以入去 呢個限制區。係喺口岸，包括香港口岸區同埋內地口岸區咧，就分別有香港嘅剛才我講嘅政府部門喺香港口岸區係工作，而喺內地口岸區就會有我剛才介紹過5個機構喺內地口岸區工作嘅。咁喺保安嘅設計方面係點呢？首先，如果我哋離開香港想坐高鐵，我哋必須第一係有票，過咗閘，經過安檢，進入內地口岸區之前呢，我哋就要喺經過我哋嘅入境處、海關等等人員呢，做咗出入境嘅手續。喺呢個階段呢，我哋都係受到香港嘅法律所規管同埋保障嘅。做完咗離開、入境、海關等等嘅清關手續，再進入內地口岸區，完成咗內地口岸嘅清關手續，先可以上車。咁喺內地嚟嘅旅客，佢首先就落咗車，進入月台。跟住就喺內地口岸區完成咗內地嘅出境同埋過關手續，之後就會進入香港口岸區，由我哋香港嘅入境處、海關等等部門完成咗入境手續之後，先可以入嚟香港嘅。我哋嘅設計呢係入境層同埋離境層係完全分隔，旅客呢係完全唔會撈亂。佢哋係完全唔會接觸，確保到咧出入境嘅人士都係經過我哋嘅需要辦嘅手續。喺旅客方面咧，如果佢需要求助咧，咁喺香港口岸區咧係第一，當然佢可以喺售票大堂，我哋設有警方嘅報案中心，亦都有巡邏警員，所以佢係可以好似喺一般香港情況咁係求助。我哋亦都係因為佢要經過我哋出境同埋海關嘅通關程序咧，所以就係有我哋入境處嘅同事同埋海關嘅同事咧係予以任何協助嘅。當然啦，佢可以向高鐵嘅職員去求助。喺內地口岸區嘅時候咧，佢當然有內地嘅部門喺度咧，佢可以向內地嘅派駐單位求助。高鐵嘅職員亦都會喺度咧，亦都可以求助。車站同埋車上咧都會有一啲指示，當任何旅客需要求助嘅時候咧，佢係可以點做。我哋仲有咧係設計咗一個專係針對緊急事故應變嘅一啲措施嘅。第一，我哋係成立咗一個叫做跨部門嘅應急救援事宜專責小組。呢個小組嘅目的咧就係同內地有關嘅單位咧係制定不同係應對緊急或者突發事故嘅一啲計劃嘅。處理緊急事故，除咗制定計劃咧，我哋仲會要求有定期嘅演練，確保個計劃咧係喺實際上同埋執行上咧都達到我哋嘅要求。我哋亦會因應呢一個咁嘅機制咧，建立聯絡員嘅意思，即係話內地同埋香港各個建立一個點對點嘅聯絡員。當有火警點樣救援，除咗個機制啟動之外，聯絡員呢可以按實際情況大家溝通，去統籌下應對嘅方法。咁呢啲緊急嘅事故咧，包括火警啦、列車嘅故障啦、乘客需要緊急嘅醫療協助啦、大型嘅公共衛生事故，甚至係恐怖襲擊以及危險品化學品嘅處理等等。我哋應變嘅原則呢，係要雙方充分合作，互相協助，以最快同埋最佳嘅方法去處理緊急事故同埋拯救傷者作為大前提。喺呢啲緊急救援事故裏邊呢，兩地之間嘅區分呢係唔存在嘅。我哋會將傷者嘅利益係擺喺大前提。 同時嚟講呢，我哋要設立一個日常嘅協作聯絡機制。呢個協作聯絡機制呢，係針對我哋日常喺高鐵兩地嘅運作，我哋要確保佢暢順、有高效率同埋高嘅安全性。例如呢，我哋打擊走私啊，或者過境高峰期，我哋點樣處理？咁呢嘅意思即係話呢，我哋係有兩個小組，一個係針對日常我哋運作嘅協調，另一個係針對突發事件，唔係常日發生，但係當有發生嘅時候呢，要係協調兩地點樣去處理㗎。咁喺保安同埋安全方面呢，個總結呢就係第一，我哋嘅設計呢係以密封式管理。咁呢個包括香港口岸區或者內地口岸區，整個喺我哋出入境呢個管制方面呢係密封式管理嘅，閒雜人係唔可以混入去嘅。第二呢，我哋將我哋入境同埋海關擺喺進入呢個口岸區嘅第一關，即係話香港嘅人士進入呢個口岸區呢，無論係香港口岸區或者內地口岸區，佢第一個關、第一個門口呢，就係我哋入境處同埋海關。同樣嚟講呢，離開呢個口岸區進入我哋香港嘅市中心呢，我哋亦都擺咗入境處同埋海關係把守我哋最後一關，確保入嚟香港嘅人士呢都係符合我哋嘅法律要求同埋符合香港嘅利益。另外呢，警方係會有個案中心以及有巡邏，確保求助方面呢係可以令到市民係知道點做。喺嗰個保安方面呢，我哋亦都係設計咗實名制、安全檢查同埋不同嘅地方都有閉路電視，係確保到我哋需要調查或者係需要追究責任嘅時候呢，我哋可以做到嘅。喺個機制裏邊係設立咗一個處理日常協調工作嘅一個聯絡小組，亦都有一個特別針對我哋突發事件、緊急事故嘅一個特別嘅工作小組，針對不同嘅事故同埋求助嘅情況呢，係會有不同嘅預案演練，再者會設立聯絡員制度，確保到我哋整個運暢呢係達到我哋最高嘅要求嘅。跟住我交俾律政司司長。
各位傳媒嘅朋友，響回應大家嘅提問之前呢，我希望係歸納同埋強調幾點嘅。第一，我留意到係社會上邊有所謂各地嘅言論，我喺呢一度希望澄清，今次嘅建議呢係絕對唔存在任何所謂各地嘅元素或者係效果。原因係非常之清晰嘅。根據基本法第7條，香港特區境內嘅土地同埋自然資源呢係屬於國家所有，由特區負責管理、使用、開發、出租或者係批俾個人、法人或者係團體使用或者係開發。收入呢係歸特區政府支配。正如剛才介紹嘅時候指出，內地口岸區嘅場地同埋空間呢，將會係以租賃嘅方式呢，係交予內地嘅相關單位去使用，當中係唔會涉及任何業權嘅轉移，唔會涉及任何業權嘅轉移嘅。第二，社會上邊有言論指呢，落實一地兩檢會係削弱咗香港人嘅權益。我亦希望呢，大家能夠理性、客觀咁去分析呢一個問題。高鐵大家都知道係跨境嘅鐵路，因此呢係必然會係涉及通關嘅程序，而主要嘅選擇呢，就係傳統嘅兩地兩檢，同埋現時我哋建議嘅一地兩檢。比較兩者嘅話呢，一地兩檢係唔會改變兩地各自嘅通關程序或者係適用嘅法律。乘客響辦理通關手續嘅時候， 嘅權益，亦都係唔會有任何嘅改變。換言之，就係無論我哋係用兩地兩檢或者係一地兩檢，喺個權益上邊係唔會有改變。因此，我哋而家建議用一地兩檢呢個目的係便利乘客，而響涉及嘅程序、法律同埋權益係唔會有任何嘅改變，所以唔會存在削弱港人嘅權益。第三，社會上邊亦都有部分人士質疑呢，落實一地兩檢會唔會開壞一個先例？日後亦都擔心呢，日後會唔會相繼有香港特區境內其他嘅地方呢，會係落實或者係實施內地嘅法律，破壞一國兩制。若果大家考慮落實一地兩檢嘅背景呢，就唔會有頭先以上所講嘅疑慮。高鐵香港段係我哋特區政府決定興建嘅，亦都係特區政府建議去研究落實一地兩檢。落實一地兩檢絕對，我強調絕對唔係中央嘅指令，而且係需要特區同埋中央雙方面同意先至可以落實一地兩檢。而今次香港特區政府要求中央協助落實一地兩檢，唯一嘅原因係要發揮香港呢個高鐵香港段嘅效益，當中係冇任何嘅意圖，更加冇任何嘅理由呢去破壞一國兩制。相反，正如我多次嘅指出，響特區同埋中央商討一地兩檢嘅過程當中呢，雙方係一直堅持一地兩檢嘅方案必須要係符合一國兩制，同埋必須係唔違反呢個基本法。第四，歸根究底，高鐵一地兩檢係一個運輸交通嘅問題，亦都係牽涉及香港未來整體嘅發展同埋競爭力。當中嘅法律問題可以依循法律嘅途徑去解決。我希望大家唔好將呢一個運輸或者法律嘅問題過分政治化。過分政治化對社會嘅發展同埋我哋香港整體嘅利益絕對係冇任何嘅好處。多謝大家，我會用英文簡單重複剛才嘅重點，然後我同兩位局長呢會係樂意回答大家嘅問題嘅。Before responding to your questions, I would like to make a few concluding remarks. First, I note that there are comments to the effect that implementing co-location would amount to a cession of our land in favour of the mainland. I would like to clarify that there is no question of any cessions or giving up of land. The reasons are obvious. According to Article 7 of the Basic Law, the land and natural resources within the Hong Kong SAR shall be state property. The Hong Kong SAR government shall be responsible for the management, use and development, and for the lease or grant to individuals, legal persons or organizations for use or development. The revenues derived therefrom shall be exclusively at the disposal of the Hong Kong SAR government. As pointed out earlier, the mainland port area will be leased to the relevant mainland authorities, and there will not be any transfer of property ownership. Second, there are views suggesting that the implementation of co-location would prejudice Hong Kong people's rights. I hope the community can look at these questions rationally and objectively. Since XRL is a cross-border railway, it would necessarily involve CIQ procedures. The main choice are the traditional separate location arrangement or the proposed co-location arrangement. If one is to compare co-location with separate location arrangement, it will be crystal clear that the proposed co-location arrangement will not change the CIQ procedures or the applicable law. Besides, the rights and obligations of the passengers when going through the CIQ procedures will also remain the same. Third, some people have queried whether the implementation of co-location arrangement would set a bad precedent and that there would be more and more places within the Hong Kong SAR where the mainland laws would be applied, and thereby contravening the one country, two systems policy. One would not have such a query if one reminds ourselves the background leading to the idea of implementing co-location arrangement. It is the Hong Kong SAR government who decided to construct the XRL. It is also the Hong Kong SAR government who proposed to study the implementation of co-location arrangement. The implementation of co-location arrangement is neither a directive nor an order by the Central People's Government. Besides, the implementation of co-location would require the consent of both the Hong Kong SAR government and the Central People's Government before it can be done. The only reason why the Hong Kong SAR government requests the assistance of the Central People's Government for implementing co-location arrangement is to maximize the potentials of the Hong Kong section of the XRL. There is no intention, let alone reason, to act in contravention of the one country, two system policy. On the contrary, as I pointed out repeatedly, one of the objectives insisted by both the Hong Kong SAR government and the Central People's Government throughout our discussions on co-location is to ensure that the arrangement would be consistent with the one country, two systems policy and would not be in contravention of the basic law. Fourth, the implementation of co-location arrangement for the Hong Kong section of the XRL is a transport issue, and that it concerns the overall future development of Hong Kong and its competitiveness. The legal issues involved can be dealt with through legal means. I hope that people would not over-politicize such transport or legal issues. Over-politicization would not be conducive to the healthy development of our community or the overall interests of the Hong Kong SAR. Thank you very much, and I and my colleagues would be more than happy to answer your questions.
好，提問時間。咁大家提出問題之前，請講出你嘅名同埋代表嘅傳媒機構。TVB 先。後邊。
司長你好 ，TVB 張家豪。想問下，其實就係喺你嘅文件度會講過，其實就係將內地口岸區咧係視作為香港特區範圍之外嘅。究竟呢一個係咪需要任何立法程序，定係政府講一句就係算嘅呢？如果真係嗰個地方係可以成為香港特區政府嘅範圍之外嘅，咁點解特區政府又可以有理據喺6個指定範圍之內入去進行執法、執行香港嘅法律？另外仲有一樣嘢就係嗰個立法程序嗰度，究竟政府係打算用乜嘢嘅形式交上立法會？如果最終係唔過嘅話，政府有冇後備方案？個高鐵會唔會如期通車嘅呢？唔該。
多謝你嘅提問。其實好似頭先我都有講過啦，就係將呢一個內地口岸區嘅範圍視作為香港區域範圍以外呢一個嘅方式呢，其實係借鏡當年2007年嘅時候處理深圳灣嗰個嘅模式嘅。頭先我喺呢個介紹嘅時候，亦都同大家講咗，如果大家睇翻呢一個香港法例第591章第5條第2款呢，正正亦都係用咗視為或者英文 regarded as 嗰個嘅方式嘅呢一個嘅字眼嘅。而當然我哋喺處理今次一地兩檢呢一個事項嘅時候呢，唔會單單係喺香港要進行呢一個立法嘅程序，亦都係點解呢？我哋會係講就係話，我哋香港呢邊同內地首先係用咗一個合作嘅安排，雙方係有個咁樣嘅協議，雙方同意咗呢一個區域劃分為呢一個內地嘅口岸區，而中間嗰個法律同埋管轄權呢， 好似頭先嘅介紹咁樣去劃分，然之後將呢一個嘅劃分或者簡單講呢一個協議呢，即係呢個合作安排嘅協議呢，係會呈交上全國人大常委呢作去批准同埋確認。有咗呢一個批准同埋確認之後呢，我哋會翻落嚟我哋會響翻香港呢進行呢一個本地嘅立法工作。因此呢，我哋anticipate 呢係會日後呢，若然我哋係攞到呢個全國人大常委嘅決定之後呢，到時會係有一條類似，當然唔係一樣，係類似呢個第591章嘅香港嘅法例嘅嚇。咁頭先你問係我哋會點樣去提出呢？呢個將會係同其他任何本地嘅立法呢嘅工作係用翻同一個模式嘅啫嚇。而家最後答你嗰個你問題最後尾個部分，我哋冇其他嘅後備方案，我哋係希望可以如期響2018年第3季之前完成晒所有頭先所講嘅3個步驟嘅工作嚇。多謝。
好，嗰邊第二行中間嗰位女士。
Hi, Mr. Yun. I'm Jeffrey Lam from the South China Morning Post. So some people fear they would get into troubles in the mainland port area should they, like, say, wear a T-shirt commemorating the Tiananmen Square crackdown or, like, calling for the end of the one-party rule, even though they are on Hong Kong soil. So how would you address these legitimate concerns? I understand you believe the arrangement would not violate Article 18 of the Basic Law, but are you confident that it would not be challenged in court or defeated in court? And my second question is, would there be any mainland armed officers in the MPA? If yes, how many of them? And would there be any regulations to make sure they would only be able to open fire under very limited conditions? Thank you.
Well, thank you for your question. I think maybe I would endeavour to answer your first two questions and would leave the third questions to Secretary for Security. In answer to your first questions, I think the point is exactly the point that I made earlier when I do the concluding remark, and that is, imagine you are now having a express railway, but with no co-location. What would happen to a passenger? The passenger will still go through to CIQ checkpoint, and once you are within the mainland port area, you would be having the same treatment, irrespective of what you are going to do, whether you are going to do it at this point of time because of co-location or because there was separate location arrangement. So my answer to your first point is there is no change because co-location would not by itself change the rights or obligations, nor would it change the CIQ procedure or the applicable law. In relation to your second question, we have already explained in my introduction earlier why we do not think Article 18 of the Basic Law will apply, and that is because of the what we can generally in legal terms call as the dimming provision, namely that the mainland port area would be regarded as outside the territorial boundary of Hong Kong, and that is the part which I draw reference to Section 5, Subsection 2 of Cap 519, which is the Shenzhen Port Ordinance. In relation to legal proceedings, of course, we, the government, cannot control people as to whether they would like to commence legal proceedings. On the contrary, we respect people's rights under the Basic Law to institute whatever legal proceedings that they think they are entitled to. And it is for the court to decide whether or not the legal proceedings so commenced are justified or otherwise. And therefore, insofar as we are concerned, we would deal with such legal proceedings as they arise. But having looked into the matter and having considered the matter in quite some depth, we are quite confident that we can withstand legal challenges if we can get through all the three stages. Thank you. Maybe I will leave the third question, as I said, to the Secretary for Security, Mr. Lee.
As regards the questions about who will be working in the mainland port and how will they be equipped, in our discussion, I have been told that they will be running this mainland port in the same way as they will run a mainland port in in mainland area, they will copy the model that they will be using in running a normal port, and copy that model to use it in Hong Kong. They indicate that they will do no more. That's the first thing. They will do no more than a normal mainland port, as if it is in the mainland area. I believe that the officers that will eventually work in the mainland port area will come from Guangdong, Shenzhen mainly. So I will talk about the model, as I understand, that they will use in running a port in Guangdong. They will be, as I've explained, stationing officers from 5 areas. First of all is the immigration staff, so you can understand how they will work because we have a similar immigration department in Hong Kong. Then they will station customs officers, and we have a customs service in Hong Kong, so we understand how they work. Then they have the safety in regard to health and quarantine, and I think you generally understand how they will work. The 4th area is something that we don't have in Hong Kong, which is the administration of port. This unit generally has no power of enforcement. So they have no legal power to take any enforcement measures against travelers, passengers. They mainly do administration in regard to the port and also coordinate the different officers that work there. The 5th area is the police post that they may be setting up as they will set up in a normal port in Guangdong. The model, as I understand it in Guangdong, is this police post will basically receive reports from people who need help. They will be dealing with emergencies. They will accede to requests for help. And also they may do patrol. When they do patrol on a day-to-day basis, they will be carrying their baton. The model, as I understand in Guangdong, is that when an officer goes on patrol, that's the equipment they carry. Regarding other equipment, they will draw as circumstances require. So say when there is intelligence about a terrorist attack, and of course they will have to do some precaution, then the equipment will be drawn as necessary to deal with that particular incident. But on a day-to-day basis, when they do patrol, in the Guangdong model, generally they will equip with a baton. One other question you asked, how many officers will be working there? They are working out. I believe the formula they will use will be the same formula they will adopt as if this port is in just one of the normal port area.
好，經濟。